The first human ship to reach the Scifi border did not carry weapons charged for war. Its guns were powered down, its shields set to passive, and its message was simple and honest. Humanity requested dialogue. The galaxy already knew what that meant. The Scifi Dominion had ruled their region of space for longer than human history had recorded writing. Entire species either bent the knee or vanished. At the center of that dominion sat one being who had never lost, never compromised, and never needed to raise her voice. The alien queen. Her power did not come from fleets alone. It came from biology. Her species evolved a truth-bonding ritual that no lie could survive. A ceremonial kiss that released a living toxin into the bloodstream of the one she faced. For most life forms, the kiss ended in death within seconds. The toxin shut down nerves, stopped the heart, and erased consciousness. Those who survived long enough to speak were proven truthful. No one ever survived completely. When the Galactic Council forced a meeting between humanity and the Queen, many believed it was simply a quieter execution. Humanity was young, curious, bold, and dangerously unaware of ancient rules. Commander Elias Vance was chosen as the human representative, not because he was reckless, but because he understood what the meeting meant. He was a career officer, trained in diplomacy, conflict resolution, and survival in extreme conditions. He had studied alien biology for years, especially the Scifi. He knew the kiss was fatal. The chamber where the meeting took place was enormous, carved from living crystal that hummed softly with energy. Delegates from dozens of species observed from protected platforms, their eyes fixed on the central dais. The Queen stood alone. She was taller than any human, her form elegant and sharp, with eyes like polished obsidian. Her smile was calm, practiced, and terrifying in its confidence. She had ended wars with that smile. Vance walked forward alone. No armor, no hidden tech. Only a simple uniform and a steady breath. The Queen's voice carried without effort. "Human," she said. "You understand our custom." Vance stopped a respectful distance away. He met her gaze without flinching. "Yes," he replied. Her smile widened slightly. "Then you understand the cost." A soft murmur spread through the chamber. Several delegates turned away, unwilling to watch another life end. The Queen stepped closer. "My kiss is fatal." For a moment, the entire galaxy seemed to hold its breath. Vance smiled. "Worth the risk," he said. It was not arrogance. It was not defiance. It was a simple statement of choice. The Queen studied him carefully now. She had seen fear in every form imaginable. Rage, pride, desperation. She saw none of it here. Only resolve. "So be it," she said. The ritual began. She placed one hand lightly against his chest. Her touch was cold, precise. The air around them shimmered as biofields activated, ensuring the toxin would transfer cleanly. When their lips met, the toxin flowed. Invisible, ancient, perfect. Sensors across the chamber reacted instantly. Medical monitors spiked. Several council members stood, expecting collapse. Vance felt fire race through his veins. Pain exploded behind his eyes. His muscles locked, his breath caught, and his heart slammed against his ribs. For one terrifying second, his vision darkened. The Queen pulled back. She waited. So did the galaxy. Vance staggered, dropping to one knee. His hands clenched against the floor, as his body fought something it had never encountered before. Inside him, human biology went to war. White blood cells swarmed the foreign agent, not just attacking but analyzing it. His immune system did not recognize the toxin as poison alone. It treated it as information. It adapted, mutated, and learned. The pain shifted, changed. His heart did not stop. It accelerated. The Queen's eyes narrowed. Vance drew in a shaky breath, then another. Slowly, he pushed himself upright. Gasps echoed through the chamber. The toxin was breaking down, neutralized, consumed. The Queen took an involuntary step back. Impossible. She reached out with her senses, feeling for the bioagent she had released. It was gone. Not dormant. Not resisted. Gone. Vance stood fully now, sweat on his brow, breath heavy, but alive. He looked at her again, still smiling faintly. That, he said carefully, was unpleasant. Silence ruled the chamber. Human scientists watching from light years away erupted into controlled chaos. Data streamed in faster than they could process. The human immune system had not just survived. It had adapted in minutes to a toxin refined over millions of years. The Queen felt something she had not felt since her rise to power. Uncertainty. "You should be dead," she said quietly. Vance nodded. "We hear that a lot." Her gaze sharpened. "You are immune." "Not exactly," he replied. "We just learn fast." The council chamber erupted into sound. Fear. Awe. Confusion. Hope. The Queen raised one hand, and silence returned instantly. She circled Vance slowly now, studying him as if he were a new species entirely. "Your kind is dangerous." Vance did not deny it. "So we've been told." She stopped in front of him. "Why would you risk this?" He considered the question. "Because fear doesn't make problems go away. And because if we want a place in this galaxy, we can't hide behind what might kill us." The Queen searched his face for deception and found none. For the first time in her reign, a ritual had failed. No, it had evolved. The meeting ended without bloodshed. Humanity was not declared an enemy, not yet an ally, something else entirely. An unknown. As Vance left the chamber, whispers followed him across the stars. The Queen remained alone on the dais, her smile gone, her thoughts racing. For the first time, death had blinked, and humanity had smiled back. The chamber emptied slowly after the meeting, but the silence it left behind was heavier than any crowd. Across the galaxy, signals spread faster than ships. Records updated, assumptions shattered. For the first time in living memory, the Queen's ritual had not ended in death. Commander Elias Vance was escorted back to the human vessel under layered security. Not because the Dominion threatened him, but because no one knew what would happen next. Every species present had seen the impossible, and fear often followed surprise. Inside the human ship's medical bay, Vance lay still while scanners moved over him again and again. His skin was pale, his muscles sore, but his eyes were clear. Doctors watched data streams scroll endlessly across holographic screens. "It's still changing," one of them said quietly. The toxin was gone, but the effects remained. Vance's immune system had rewritten parts of itself. New antibodies formed, stable and permanent. His body remembered the Queen's kiss as a lesson learned, not a wound suffered. Human Command received the report within minutes. They did not celebrate. They understood what this meant. Back on the Dominion capital world, the Queen stood alone in her private chamber. The room was dark, lit only by faint bioluminescent patterns along the walls. She dismissed her guards, her advisors, her servants. She needed silence. For millions of years, her species had ruled through certainty. The kiss was more than a ritual. It was proof of dominance, truth, and inevitability. No one lied after it. No one resisted it. No one survived it. Until now, she replayed the moment again and again. The human's steady eyes, his calm smile, the way his body had rejected death itself. That should not exist. She summoned her chief bioarchitect, an ancient being whose knowledge of Zirathi biology rivaled her own. "Explain," the Queen said simply. The bioarchitect hesitated, something rarely seen. "Their internal systems are chaotic, redundant, violent. They fight themselves constantly. Disease, mutation, injury. They survive by adapting faster than harm can kill them." "Can the toxin be improved?" the Queen asked. The being lowered its head. "Against humans? No. Any refinement only teaches them faster." I. The Queen felt a cold weight settle in her chest. For the first time, her greatest weapon had limits. Across the galaxy, reactions varied. Some species panicked. Others celebrated quietly. Many sent secret messages to human space, requesting talks, trade, medical aid, and protection. Humanity had not fired a single shot, and yet power was shifting. On the human ship, Vance recovered quickly. He walked the halls, stretching sore muscles, nodding to crew members who looked at him with awe and unease. He was still human, still fragile. But now he carried something invisible, proof. Human leadership requested his presence via secure channel. Admirals, scientists, diplomats. Faces tight with concern. "You changed the balance," one of them said. Vance shook his head. "I didn't. We just showed up as ourselves. That may be worse," another replied. The Dominion had not responded officially. No declaration. No threat. No alliance. Silence. That silence frightened everyone. Then the summons came. The Queen requested a private audience. No ritual. No kiss. No audience chamber. Just the two of them. Human command debated for hours. Some argued refusal. Others argued strength, through presence. In the end, they sent Vance again, because fear could not be allowed to speak for humanity. The meeting chamber was smaller this time. No observers, no council, only the Queen, seated on a low platform, and Vance, standing before her. She studied him carefully. "You carry my death within you," she said. Vance blinked. "I don't think so." She corrected herself. "You carry the end of my certainty." He nodded slowly. "That happens sometimes when you meet something new." The Queen leaned forward slightly. "If my kind cannot control yours, then the galaxy will follow you." "That's not our goal," Vance said. "We don't want to replace you." "Then what do you want?" He took a breath. "To be left alone. To trade. To learn. To help when we can. And to defend ourselves if we must." The Queen searched for deception and found none. "You are dangerous without trying," she said. Vance allowed himself a small smile. "That's what happens when you build a species around survival instead of perfection." She considered that. "If I order your destruction now," she said, "it would take effort. And you would adapt." "Yes," Vance replied honestly. "And if I leave you alone," she continued, "others will come to you. Weak ones. Broken ones. Those I once ruled. We won't turn them away," he said. The Queen closed her eyes briefly. This was how empires ended. Not with war, but with choice. Days passed without incident. No fleets moved. No weapons fired. Humanity waited. Then the Dominion broadcast its decision. The Queen addressed the galaxy directly. Her voice calm, controlled, but no longer absolute. The ceremonial kiss was suspended for interactions with humans. Their species was declared biologically incompatible with the ritual. No punishment. No exception. The message was clear to those who understood power. The Queen had adapted too. In human space, relief, mixed with tension. The danger was not over, but the immediate threat had passed. Vance stood alone on a viewing deck, watching stars drift by. He thought of the moment when death had entered his blood and failed. Not because he was special, but because humanity was stubborn. Behind him, a junior officer spoke softly. "Sir, do you think she's afraid of us?" Vance considered the question. "I think," he said, "she's afraid of what happens when fear stops working." Far away, the Queen looked out over her capital world, her thoughts heavy. For the first time, the galaxy had met a species that could not be controlled by inevitability, and that realization was spreading faster than any fleet. The galaxy did not change all at once. It shifted slowly, like a massive body realizing it was no longer balanced the way it once was. The Queen's announcement echoed through every major network, replayed and analyzed again and again. The ritual was suspended. The kiss no longer applied to humans. That single decision carried more weight than fleets moving to war. Species that had lived under the shadow of the Dominion for generations understood what it meant. The Queen had acknowledged a limit. Not loudly, not with weakness, but clearly, and limits invited hope. Messages began to reach human space in quiet ways. Civilian freighters adjusted their routes. Research vessels requested shared corridors. Medical ships asked for human aid with diseases long considered unsolvable. None of them announced defiance. They simply started choosing differently. Human leadership watched the data grow day by day. Trade increased. Requests multiplied. And with them came pressure. Everyone is watching us now, one diplomat said during a closed session. If we refuse them, fear returns. If we accept them, we become a center of gravity. Vance listened without speaking. He had been pulled back into service not as a symbol, but as a reminder of what had started this. He understood that survival was not the hardest part. Responsibility was. The Dominion felt the shift almost immediately. Reports arrived from border systems. Tribute shipments delayed. Local governors requesting clarification. Old alliances suddenly uncertain. The Queen summoned her advisors, her generals, her bioarchitects. They spoke carefully, choosing words like tools. Humans are not leading rebellion, one said, but others are aligning themselves with them. Then remove the humans, another argued. Quietly, decisively, the Queen raised one hand. Silence fell. If we strike them, she said, we teach the galaxy that fear still rules. And if they survive, we teach them that fear fails. No one argued. The truth was simple and cruel. Humanity was not challenging her directly. They were worse. They were changing the rules by refusing to play the old game. On a mid-level station far from Dominion space, a delegation of minor species met humans for the first time, without an overseer present. There were no rituals, no dominance displays, just shared tables, translators, and patience. It felt unreal. A species whose homeworld had been stripped of atmosphere generations earlier received human environmental tech. Another, whose population suffered from genetic decay, received medical help with no demand attached. Word spread fast. Humans helped not because it increased fear, but because it reduced suffering. That idea unsettled ancient powers. Vance traveled constantly now, station to station, world to world. He spoke plainly. He promised little. He listened more than he talked. Wherever he went, people remembered the story of the kiss, not as a challenge, as a choice. The Queen watched it all from her capital, her senses extended through data and instinct. She understood the danger now more clearly than before. Humans were not immune to death. They were immune to inevitability. She requested another meeting with Vance. This time, not as a test. As a conversation, the chamber was open, but smaller than the first public encounter. No council. No audience. Just space, light, and two beings who carried the weight of millions behind them. Vance arrived without escort. The Queen dismissed hers. You have changed nothing, she said as he approached. He smiled faintly. That's usually how change works at first. You weaken structures older than your species, she continued. Without attacking them. We don't tell anyone to leave you, he replied. We just don't stop them from coming to us. The Queen studied him. Your kindness is a weapon. It can be, Vance admitted. So can cruelty. We chose the one that lasts longer. She turned away, looking out into a projection of the galaxy. My people believe control brings order. And does it? He asked gently. She did not answer right away. When fear leaves, she said at last, chaos follows. Vance shook his head. Fear only hides chaos. It doesn't stop it. The Queen felt something dangerous stir inside her. Not anger, not fear, doubt. For millions of years, she said. No one has ever smiled at me after the kiss. I didn't smile because I wasn't afraid, Vance said. I smiled because even if I died, the attempt mattered. She turned back to him slowly. That is not how rulers think. No, he agreed. It's how survivors do. Beyond the chamber, events accelerated. A Dominion-controlled world formally requested a mutual defense pact with humanity. Not independence. Cooperation. The request was legal. Technically, the Queen received the notice while still speaking with Vance. She felt the tremor ripple through her empire. This is where it breaks, she said quietly. Or where it changes, Vance replied. The Queen closed her eyes. She could crush the request. Send fleets. Restore fear. The galaxy would obey again, for a time, and then humans would adapt. Others would follow. The cycle would repeat. Faster, louder, bloodier. Or she could do something unprecedented. She opened her eyes. I will not stop them, she said. Vance exhaled slowly. But understand this, she continued. If humanity becomes what I was, I will oppose you. That. Are. That. Vance met her gaze. That's fair. The Queen straightened. Then hear this truth. Your species frightens me. He nodded. Good. It should. We frighten ourselves too. That honesty lingered between them. The Dominion did not collapse. It did not retreat. It adjusted. Slowly. Painfully. Systems once ruled by fear began to negotiate. Not always cleanly. Not always peacefully. But the direction was set, and at the center of it all was a simple, dangerous idea. Death was not the final argument anymore. On a quiet human world, children learned about the day the Queen's kiss failed. Not as a legend of victory, but as a lesson. Courage was not the absence of fear. It was deciding what was worth the risk. Far away, the Queen stood alone once more. Her empire intact but transformed. She understood now that humanity had not defeated her. They had survived her. And in doing so, they had taught the galaxy a new way to live. The final test was still coming. But now, for the first time, the future was uncertain for everyone. The galaxy did not burn. It did not fall into chaos or rise into sudden peace. Instead, it moved forward under a quiet tension that never fully disappeared. Old powers still existed. New alliances formed carefully. Everyone watched humanity, waiting for proof of what they truly were. Time passed. Trade routes adjusted. Borders softened. The Dominion remained strong, but no longer absolute. Fear still had a place, but it was no longer the only language spoken. Commander Elias Vance aged like any human. Years marked his face, not with weakness, but with experience. He was no longer sent to prove humanity's resilience. That proof had already been given. Now he was sent to maintain something far harder: trust. He traveled less, spoke less publicly, and listened more than ever. Humanity had learned quickly that survival was not the same as leadership. And leadership was not the same as control. The Queen watched humanity's choices from afar. She saw moments where humans could have taken advantage of weakness and did not. She also saw moments where they defended themselves without apology. They were neither saints nor monsters. They were consistent. That consistency unsettled ancient expectations. On a distant world once firmly under Dominion rule, a crisis emerged. A stellar instability threatened to tear the system apart. Evacuation was possible, but the infrastructure was outdated, underfunded, and slow. The Dominion could save part of the population. Humans could save more. The request for help arrived without ceremony. No tribute, no submission. Just data and desperation. Human leadership debated. Resources would be stretched. Risk would be high. Failure would be visible. Vance spoke once during the discussion. If we say no now, he said, everything we built becomes a story people used to believe. The decision was made. Human fleets moved. They did not arrive as conquerors. They arrived with engineers, medics, and evacuation ships. Dominion forces coordinated alongside them. For the first time, humans and the Queen's people worked side by side under pressure. The crisis did not care about politics. The star flared, gravity twisted, time ran short. Humans adapted on the fly. Plans changed hourly. Mistakes were made and corrected. Losses happened, but fewer than expected. Lives were saved. The Queen observed the operation through shared command channels. She watched human crews push themselves beyond safe limits. Not because they were ordered to, but because they refused to abandon others. This was not weakness. This was a different form of strength. When the last evacuation ship cleared the system, the Queen made a decision that would echo through history. She requested a public address. The galaxy watched. The Queen stood before the assembled networks, her posture calm, her expression unreadable. For most of our history, she said, we believed order required fear. That truth required death. That control ensured survival. She paused. We were wrong. Silence followed. Humanity has shown that survival can come from resilience, from adaptation, from choosing to face danger rather than hide behind certainty. Her eyes focused on the camera. The ceremonial kiss will end. Not just for humans, for all species. 5. Shock rippled outward. The era of fatal truth is over. Across the galaxy, reactions exploded. Relief. Fear. Celebration. Panic. The Queen raised her hand. And order returned. This does not mean peace without cost, she continued. It means power without inevitability. On a human world, Vance watched the broadcast in silence. He felt no triumph, only a deep, quiet relief. Later, the Queen requested one final meeting. No chambers, no thrones, just a simple room overlooking space. They stood together, side by side, watching stars drift past. "You changed everything," she said. Vance shook his head. "We just refused to die quietly." She regarded him thoughtfully. "If I had met your species earlier, I would have destroyed you." "I believe you," he replied. "And yet," she said, "I am glad I did not." They stood in silence for a while. "My kiss was never about death," she said at last. "It was about certainty." "And now?" Vance asked. "Now," she said softly, "certainty has limits." She turned to him. "Was it worth the risk?" Vance smiled. "Older now. Slower. But just as steady." "Yes," he said. "Every time." Years later, children across dozens of worlds learned a simple story. Not of war or conquest, but of a moment when death was offered as truth, and someone chose to smile instead. Humanity did not conquer the galaxy. They taught it how to survive change. And in doing so, they earned something far rarer than fear. They earned a future.